Okay, now let's look at perpendicular lines. Okay, we know a perpendicular line has to cross any given line the line is perpendicular to at a 90-degree angle. So if I look at the x and the y axes here, they cross at the origin right down here in a perpendicular manner. They cross at 90 degrees. That is perpendicular. So something like this is not perpendicular. Okay, something like this is not perpendicular. Okay, it's got to be straight and then the line crossing to be perpendicular, kind of like a cross. Okay, so we're trying to find a line that's perpendicular to the given line. Now I'm using the standard 3xy equals 3x plus 2. Okay, so kind of like the parallel lines, if I say, hey, I want a line that's perpendicular to this one, to this one, and it goes through the point, say 3, negative 1. Okay, so like the other, when we did parallel lines, basically I know what the slope is. Now remember, if they're parallel, they have the same slope. And here's the slope of this one. If they are perpendicular, the slope is, you got to flip the fraction and change the sign. Okay, now remember 3 is the same as 3 over 1. So if I flip that fraction, that's 1/3, and change the sign. So negative 1/3. So I know the equation has to start out y is equal to negative 1/3 x. It has to, if it's going to be perpendicular. Remember, flip the fraction, change the sign to find a perpendicular line. Okay, so there it is. Now, as I said before, it goes through this point. So all we do is plug that x and y into that equation there. So if I know y is negative 1, let me make some room here. Okay, so y is negative 1 is equal to negative 1/3 x, which is 3 here, times 3 plus b. Okay, so now if I multiply this part out here, 3 times 1/3 is 1, but it's negative, so negative 1 is equal to negative 1 plus b. Well, if negative 1 is already equal to negative 1, then what is b? In this case, b is equal to 0. Okay, that means the y-intercept actually goes right through the origin there. Okay, so that's the line that's perpendicular. So the final equation would be y is equal to negative 1/3 x. And because the y-intercept is 0, you don't have to put plus 0 or minus 0. You can just leave it like that. I didn't intend this problem to have a 0 intercept, but that's the way it worked out. But if this b had worked out to any other number, you just plug that in. Keep in mind that sometimes it might be a fraction or it might be a negative number. Don't let that throw you off. Okay, in this case it just happened to be 0, but it can be a negative number and it can be a fraction. Just work with it. Use your calculator if you need to, and you'll be able to solve these problems. But that's basically how you do it. You have your original line, you have your first half of the new equation by doing whatever you need to do with the slope. In this case, because it's perpendicular, you have to flip the fraction of this slope here, so it becomes 1/3, and change the sign so it's negative 1/3. Okay, so now you know the first part of the equation right here, and then all you have to do is solve for the y-intercept by plugging in this point here for x and y. Remember, they're this is the x and this is the y, so don't the equation says y equals negative 1/3 x, don't plug them in the wrong way. And once you solve your y-intercept, you just add that to the end of this equation here, and you've got it. That's how it works.